thank you for joining the Association of Indiana Counties. This is part 4 of the Strategic Fiscal Practices. We have previously released the first 3, guidance on MUST and the LIT reform. And here with me today is Nancy Marsh from Hendricks County. Nancy is currently serving as a county council representative. Nancy, you are a former auditor and treasurer, correct?
That's correct.
And you served 4 terms as auditor
and 2 as treasurer.
And I just found out that you also served a term as township assessor. Is that right?
6 years as trustee assessor.
Okay.
Yep.
So we appreciate Nancy joining us today. And what we are going to do is just a little bit of a fireside chat on some questions that we've heard relating to our Municipal Unit Strategic Task Force, also known as MUST meetings. So with that, Nancy, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Jamie, has there been any formal guidance from the DLGF yet?
That's a good question. Officially, as of right now, the DLGF has not issued their formal guidance in a specific memo-related form, so that's not been released yet. They did give some high overarching guidance as far as what the statutes state in their legislative presentation, but the formal guidance on any timelines have not been issued yet by the DLGF.
Okay. We'll start at the beginning. Are we required to call a MUST meeting?
The statute actually says that the county may convene a MUST meeting before October 1st, so it's not statutorily required. However, AIC is recommending that the counties do call the meetings and have those conversations. They're for the public to weigh in and for the transparency and to hear from the other units. So although not statutorily required, we do suggest holding them.
Who are the members on the MUST committee?
Well, the members are clearly defined in statute. It is a representative of the county council and each fiscal officer within each town or city. So those are the defined members of the MUST.
Okay. How should the county councils select the council representative?
The county councils, the best practice would be for the county councils in one of their normally scheduled public meetings, vote on and assign their representative who will be representing the county council's body. And we suggest doing that portion in a public meeting as well.
Okay. Can all other council members attend if they wish?
Absolutely. In fact, we encourage the other council members to also attend. We also suggest, if the commissioners want to attend, if sheriffs, if the judges, other elected officials. I would also include, if the mayors want to attend, if the other city and town council and board members want to attend, or other units that aren't necessarily a part of the MUST committee, if they want to attend, and certainly the public, but they wouldn't be voting members of the MUST, they could just attend as a part of the public.
Who is responsible for setting the date and time?
The county council as a unit would be responsible for setting the date and the time for the MUST. AIC last week, to help with that, did release a template letter that can be sent to the units that would be a part of the MUST, which would be, again, those fiscal officers of the cities and towns. So it was just a template letter calling the MUST where they could insert the date and the time and the location.
Can the county council or the county commissioner sign a contract for someone to run the meeting?
There's no allowances for proxies within the statute. So basically, whomever the county council selects to be their representative would be the representative for the county council, and then those fiscal officers for the cities and towns. So there's no proxies that are assigned or are permissible in statute. So really, outside of the MUST committee itself saying who should run the meeting within that, that would probably be where that decision would lie, not with the commissioners.
Okay. Is the MUST meeting a public meeting?
It is. So AIC did reach out to the public access counselor, and the public access counselor did provide us an interpretation where these meetings would be subject to the public notice and be open to the public, and therefore allowing for public input.
Okay, what is the deadline for the first must meeting?
So if the council calls the meeting for the must, they would need to convene that meeting before October 1st. The statute is relatively quiet if there's any secondary or subsequent meetings after that, but that initial meeting does need to convene if it's called before October 1st.
What should the county council do before the must meeting to get ready for the meeting?
Well, AIC also sent out some key financial and operational data checklists that we think would be good, pertinent information to also have in consideration for those important decisions that lie ahead of them and that can be discussed during those must meetings. We also think it's important to define what the goals are for each unit. You know, that fiscal officer could sit down with their mayor, the council representative can sit down with the other council members and even have conversations with other elected officials at the county level. They can establish those goals ahead of time. They can state whether is the goal to be revenue neutral? Is it to try to be neutral and to grow some for other service needs? Is it to provide a lit rate reduction in certain areas? There are certain unincorporated areas or other municipal areas that are subsidizing others. Is that a goal to define those areas? So I think some of that could be done in the interim until the must meeting is convened.
Okay. Is there any particular order that you should discuss the different rates that you're suggesting?
One of the things we found most beneficial is taking a look at that fire and EMS rate. That rate can't exceed 0.4. However, it is applied to the adjusted gross income of the entire base of all county taxpayers. So it would be regardless if they're within a municipality or outside. And there's some openness as far as how that's distributed. It states what shall be considered. However, we think that could help bridge the gap for some municipalities and make sure the public safety component is covered first. Then they could also look at that small municipality unit rate. However, what I have seen in doing certain runs and examples and analysis for counties is it's very difficult if you're trying to be revenue neutral for the smallest, say there's a town out there that's 400 population. It's sometimes difficult to find what that rate would be to make them revenue neutral, where if you're really wanting to keep the taxpayer in mind and make sure that the overall rate as low as possible, it may be of better interest to absorb some of that within the county service rate and just through a memorandum of understanding do a fund transfer to that other unit. Then we've also looked at the next step being that non-municipal rate, which would be for townships, it would be for your library, solid waste districts, and then that county service rate.
One thing I might need clarification on is the county now is eligible for the fire and EMS, correct?
That's correct.
An improvement from a previous.
You are absolutely right. So last legislative session through House Enrolled Act 1210, the county does adopt that fire and EMS rate, which makes sense because it's on all the taxpayers countywide, right? But it was recognized that there's many counties out there that provide EMS services across the county, and they dispatch those services too, right? So the county is eligible to retain some of that revenue that's generated off that rate.
Thank you. That's positive. When should the report be sent to the DLGF? And should we send it if it's not unanimous?
That's a great question. It's kind of one I think that we're waiting to get answered. Once that DLGF guidance comes out, we hope that that is stated within that. We're not sure yet if the DLGF will issue a template report or clarifying information on the structure and that those reports should be submitted. All it really states in statute is when the must should convene if it's being called, and when the DLGF has to submit the reports to the Legislative Council. So sometime in between there, I think, is when the DLGF will say this is what's best to be able to meet their statutory obligations. So I think that will be just waiting a little bit more until the DLGF does issue that guidance, which is why we have recommended it may be best to hold the must meetings more mid to late August and into September.
This has been fabulous information, and I thank you for our conversation. Is there anything else we need to think about?
Well, the only other thing I would say is please just keep us informed. You know, if there's questions that we can help answer, we're here for you for that. But also, if you could report, if all the counties out there could report if they are calling a must and the date, time, and location that they will be holding that. We want to be there to be support as much as we can. So if you could just report those dates and times to us, that would be incredibly helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Yes.
Thank you.